So a really great tool you can use in your improvising or soloing in general is learning how to alternate between major and minor pentatonic scales. Guys like Angus Young from AC/DC is a master at this, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, just a lot of rock and blues guys in general tended to be very efficient at doing this, and it's a really good way to get the most bang for your buck. The most bang for your buck out of the pentatonic scale and just like position 1 and position 2. So today I want to show you how to use it and explain it a bit, and as well give you some places on the fretboard where I like doing these alternating pentatonic scales. But before we get into it, I have a backing track loaded up, and I'm just going to keep it simple and just play the major pentatonic and minor pentatonic kind of one after another over it, so you get an idea of the sound that I am referencing, or talking about. So let's see if this goes. Here we go. See what happens. This would be minor, major, minor, major, sorry, minor. Okay, give that another go. Minor, major, minor, major, minor. Okay. Not the best, not my best playing in the world, but hopefully that gave you an idea of the sound between switching from major to minor. So let's get into it. I'm going to bring up this diagram that I will put a link to in the description, actually, to the PDF. Okay, Google Drive link where you can go download it. But we're going to be doing this all in the key of C. Now this first diagram is just it's just pattern 1 of the pentatonic scale starting on a C note, right? So if you're familiar with your pentatonic scales, you will know that this here would just be a C minor pentatonic scale, right? If you're not familiar with that, you should probably go watch some of my other lessons talking about the pentatonic scale a bit more before you start doing this stuff. But if you don't want to do that, you might just be able to get it on the fly. So that would be our C minor pentatonic scale. Pretty straightforward. Now, if we look at the next diagram, okay, so all the blue notes, this would be our C major pentatonic scale. Now that R, that yellow R in the diagram, this indicates the root note. So what I do is I'm playing pattern 1 again. You'll see this is just pattern 1. But if I line up my pinky with the C note as opposed to my first finger, this now would become the C major pentatonic scale. Okay. Right, that would be a C major pentatonic scale. Okay, so I just go, there's 2 ways you can think about it. You could say, okay, I'm just going to play pattern 1, 3 frets down. Okay, so if I'm on the 8th fret, 8 minus 3, 5, right, and play pattern 1, and that will give me the major pentatonic scale of whatever key I'm in. Or you can just think of lining up your pinky with the root note of the major key you want to play in. Right, so far, we have the C minor pentatonic scale by playing pattern 1, starting on C, and then we go down 3 frets, play the exact same shape, and this would be the C major pentatonic scale. Now, you might be thinking, that's just the A minor pentatonic scale, right? I'm playing pattern 1, starting on an A. It's just A minor. Well, C major and A minor are what they're called relative majors and minors. Okay, now if you don't understand music theory, this might be a bit hard to wrap your head around, but essentially for every key there's a major and minor that share the exact same notes. Okay, now depending on what the rhythm section is doing or the harmony in the background is doing, that will kind of dictate the sound of the scale you're playing. It's how our brains process music. Anyway, just don't worry about it for now. Just know that is how you can switch between major and minor pentatonic scales. Okay, so just if I put this backing track on again and just do that, okay, I'll play those 2 pentatonic scales and you'll hear the change. Okay, so starting with C minor. Right, just playing pattern 1 starting on C. Now I go down 3 frets, play the A minor pentatonic scale, or C major. Right, as a major sound. Minor, major, minor. Right? And you can mess around just with that to begin with, right? Major, minor, major, minor. Okay. So that's a quick way to be able to do it right off the bat. But let's keep going on with this idea. So the third diagram, this is pattern 2 of the pentatonic scale, if you know that already, starting on C. Okay, so again, that because that yellow note, or the yellow R, indicates the root note. So if I start pattern 2 of the pentatonic scale from the C note, this will also give me the C major pentatonic scale, and it's just a different means to the same end. You know, if your pattern, think about it, if your pattern 2 is here, then your pattern 1 is going to be back here, right? So they all link up together. It's just a different way of thinking of it. Okay, so if you're wanting to play a major pentatonic scale, there's kind of 3 ways you can think about it so far. Okay, you can think of it as going down 3 frets from where you would normally play your minor pentatonic scale and playing that. Or you can think of it as lining up your pinky with the root note of the key you're in, right? So again, if we're in C, I would line up my pinky with the C, right? Again, you're just playing the same thing, just a different way of thinking of it. Or you could think of it as starting pattern 2 from your root note, right? Again, just different means to the same outcome. Hopefully this is making sense so far and I'm not shooting through it too fast. But let's look. So the reason why that's important is because if we look at the next diagram, this is where it starts to get pretty cool. I have the minor pentatonic, which is the red notes, and the major pentatonic overlaid in the same area of the fretboard. Okay. Now what's cool about this is you can switch between minor pentatonic and major pretty seamlessly, right? We don't have to always do this big like shift from minor to major, back here to minor, major, right? We can do it in one area. So if I did minor here, then major, minor, major, minor, major. Alright, so I was switching between the 2 tonalities in one area of the fretboard. Okay, now, the way you can actually practice this, and just some tips with it, is you'll see that they actually share quite a few notes. Okay, so like the first note in the scale is shared, right? They're both in the same fret. Then the third note or the fourth note, they're also shared. But there's also ones that aren't shared. Now the ones that aren't shared between the 2 scales, okay, they are the ones you generally want to target, because if you think about it, those are the notes that are different between the scales. So to the listener, that is going to make it more obvious that we are changing from our major to our minor, or our minor to our major. Because if the note is shared between the scale, the listener isn't going to know that we're doing that. Okay, they won't know that we're like, oh, I'm playing pattern 2 now, or I'm playing pattern 1 now. Like, they're not going to know that unless we make it obvious. So if we just break this down to a really simple form that you can actually practice, if we just take the top 2 strings of both scales, okay, so let's say we take these 2 from the minor pentatonic, which would be the red ones, and then these 2 from the major. Now these notes on the 8th fret are both shared, so we want to be targeting the second notes on the string. So these red dots here on the 11th fret for the minor, and on the 10th fret for the major. Okay, so if I put on the backing track, actually I'll do it without the backing track. Okay, so if I just have a C going like this with my thumb, okay, so minor, right, you can hear this is a kind of minor sound. Then if I want to go major, I targeted that blue note. Okay, if I go minor, whoops, then major, major. Okay, get the idea. Now, if I targeted the notes that are shared between the scales, so the 8th fret on both of those, you're not really going to be able to tell that I'm switching from major to minor. So if I start off, say minor, right, this doesn't really tell you anything. If I play this note though, it does. And now I could go, now I'm in major, right? But again, you can't tell until I play one of the notes that isn't shared, right? So that 10th fret. Again, you can't really tell if this is major or minor until I play that red dot, right? Hey, hopefully that is making sense. So just target, when you're making that change from major to minor, if you're doing it in this way, try target those notes that are not shared. Now on the 3rd string, it's a really good one because there are no shared dots on that string. So again, if I play the 8th fret, that'll give me a minor sound, okay, and the 10th fret. But then if I go on that 9th fret, right, see how obviously that went to a major? The 7th fret, then 8th fret, minor, major, minor, major. Now I'll do some more of the notes. Minor, major. Okay, so hopefully that was clear. So practice that little box there, okay, and learning to interweave pattern 1 of the minor pentatonic and then pattern 2 of the major pentatonic. Now, in terms of actually using this in your playing, first of all, I'll put some backing tracks in the description that you'll be able to do this with, but it's not going to work in everything you're playing along with. It's one of those things, if you're not going to learn the theory behind it, you just got to develop an ear for it, which it sounds hard, but it's just a matter of trial and error. Just put on backing tracks, like rock and blues ones will tend to work best, and if it sounds good, then it's good. If it sounds bad, then it's probably not good, right? So just stick with it. Again, I'll put links to all this stuff in the description, backing tracks you can play along with, as well as the sheet you can download. Ask me any questions in the comments if you have any, because I know this is a bit confusing. But yeah, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.